Daji, before you became a spiritual guide, you were also very prosperous in your material life. How did you manage to balance the material and the spiritual together?
I often get asked this question, and each time my answers comes up very different. Anyway, the idea in our heartfulness way of meditation that we need to balance spiritual and material life. Balancing does not mean spending time equally. And also, balancing does not mean that when you make $100,000, how much spiritual wealth are you going to balance it with? You can never balance both that way because you cannot quantify spiritual wealth. Years of my struggle in trying to understand this very fundamental thing, that how to balance and fly like a bird with two wings, equally supportive. I see it's a futile exercise. And when we try to percolate this, allow this meditative state to percolate in our day-to-day activities, that is the beginning of integration of spiritual life and material life. And while integration, what I mean is you are not differentiating. Whatsoever you do, it's spiritual dancing. I used to dispense medications in my drugstores. Not only dispensing medications to patients, but then it used to involve, since I was also the owner of drugstores in New York City, buying, purchasing, recruiting help, advertisement, contacting physicians, hospitals, you name it. There is a multi-pronged approach to the whole thing. And pharmacies in the United States often also carried groceries, milk products. So it was a multi-pronged thing. And while you are doing all these things, a sublime undercurrent of meditative state was always there. And to me, I found it very exhilarating. Often when people find that more they work, more they get tired. My case was different. By the evening came, I became fresh like a flower. Only because of this integrating spiritual life into my worldly activities, you see. And when you go home, it's like, you visited a park or you went for some joyride and coming back home. So this effect of work, the impressions that we gather during the working hours became almost negligible. So as soon as you enter home and you go into your basement, wash your face and take a shower if needed, and do the cleaning. Cleaning was just 10-15 minutes affair for me. See, it was very intense at the same time. The impressions that we gather by such a lifestyle, I think they are so minimal. At the same time, they don't trouble you as much. Does that mean that you don't fight during your business hours? You don't argue with your... Because we have problems. I mean, when a patient comes, oh, my insurance does not pay for this. How am I going to get cured? And they start fighting with you. Sometimes they start cursing you. They label you all kinds of stuff. But when you listen to them carefully, patiently, and explain to them with the centering in your heart and say, okay, Master, help me convince this patient. Make her feel comfortable. You see, most of the patients, I got them were ladies, and ladies are always argumentative. Why not this? Why I want this medicine only? You cannot change my medicine. And we had to explain to them very softly, gently. And this exercise made me stronger from inside. Often it's not that you don't lose your temper. Sometimes I did. But then it was easier for me to retract. I could easily retract back and change my tone. And that helped. And as a result, Patients also, they feel confident, you see, that, oh wow, this pharmacist is good, it's worth chatting, worth discussing. So most of my hours, many elderly patients who came, they used to hang around almost every single day. I mean, who would visit your drugstore every single day and spend half hour chit-chatting? I mean, sometimes it used to be say, oh, Mr. So-and-so, it's enough today, you come back tomorrow. Oh, I have nobody at home, how will I? So then we give him a sandwich or something and he's happy. See? So this is a lifestyle. I mean, we lead a life of compassion, of love, true to its name, heartfulness, you see. Interacting with the world with your heart. Even the strangers, I mean, why are we differentiating strangers and recognizing amidst strangers? Babuji did not like this word non-abhyasis, means those who are not practicing. He would say, remove this idea that they are not abhyasis. So that's a great beginning, see, considering that all are my sisters and brothers. That's a beginning. And when I myself am meditating, and immediately if I think that somebody is other than myself, or they have different interests in life, of course we all have different interests. My son has different interests, my wife has different interests. Strangers are bound to have different interests, but we all have one common thing, humanity, and we are part of the same universe. We are all traveling towards our destination, knowingly or unknowingly. Some, they travel with full consciousness, full awareness. Some of us are not even aware that we are traveling, though we are meditating, see. But the journey is so slow, you don't see the difference of travel. So, moment we accelerate our involvement with the system of practice, let me repeat again. Moment we intensify and accelerate our practice, then the journey also will speed up and you'll be able to see different vistas of your own spiritual state. So, intensify. Intensify does not mean to me that from 5 minutes to 60 minutes. No. Try to do something that you could have done in 60 minutes, now in 1 minute. Right? So that is intensity. How to create emotional intensity while remaining connected with the source. So each one of us has to find our own answer. No master can tell us what to do because we all have different baggage. If master speaks about something, it may be applicable to one person or to himself. But to speak in general will be wrong. So you have to figure out the reasons why you meditate, how you're going to extend the meditative state during day-to-day hours, and how are we going to intensify these spiritual states, how I'm going to accelerate the whole process. This we have to reflect, we have to introspect and come to our own conclusions and make a resolve that henceforth I shall commit myself in this direction.
Heartfulness advises one to follow one's heart. But sometimes one is not aware whether a suggestion is coming from the heart or the mind. How can one differentiate between suggestions given by the mind and those given by the heart?
First of all, I am not willing to accept that you don't know that it is your heart that is speaking. Because every one of us, even my little granddaughter, she's 2 years plus, knows when she does a wrong thing. She has drawn a lot of, on this studio room besides my apartment, a lot of things with her blue crayons and violet crayons on the wall. See? And one day she tried to do the same thing on my bed. And when she saw me, she quietly walked out with her head down. When I looked at her, she just put her head down and walked out. So I am not willing, rather it is unbelievable that you don't know when you when you are even intending to do something and your heart doesn't know it. I would not say right or wrong, but heart always knows that this is not proper. And somehow we override it, consciously. And when we override it consciously, we form guilt, and that such guilt will settle down on the point D that we had, I think, talked about earlier. And such guilt remains forever unless somehow you manage to erase it. People say, oh, I'm not able to listen to my heart, but I have a problem in believing in that. See. Reflect back. Reflect back on all your major decisions. What made you happy and what made you sad? Happier ones were perhaps accidental, or sometimes when you made a decision with all your heart that yes, this is the right thing to do. But all the miseries and grief that you are facing now has its root. You didn't follow your heart. Heart did warn you, but you said, no, keep quiet. I had to do this. This is important. But heart says, no, don't do it. And when you override the vetoing heart, then you always regret. So I shouldn't have done it. So I have difficulty in believing that people don't know what heart is saying. You have already made up your mind that I want to do this, and at any cost you want to suppress the tiny little voice of your heart. And when you keep suppressing this voice time and again, events after events, then too it does not stop saying. But what happens is, these impressions, not only of guilt, but other things that arises out of not listening to the heart, they settle on all these chakras, and as a result, we somehow affect the physiological functioning of the heart. And I do strongly believe now, and I am going to prove it scientifically also, that this PQRST curve that you see on a cardiogram, they are perfectly related to these 5 chakras that we see, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The impressions that settles on the heart, especially on these 5 chakras, they are on a varying degree of it. See. And psychological study, psychiatric measurement, and the circumstances under which a person has undergone heart problems, you'll be able to see that it is related to a very specific chakra, specific point in the heart region. If we come to know ahead of time that yes, this chakra is overloaded with, then you can do something about it, you see. Then you can prevent calamities. So this is, by the way, a side part or the extra part to the question, but to answer it very simply, how to know that heart is speaking or mind is speaking or your logic is speaking? Know it for sure. When you differ, it is always the fact that you are not listening to your heart. Whenever something is going wrong, heart always signals, always, without fail. Sometimes your heartbeats go up. Try to see your spouse's phone. When she or he is in the bathroom and you scan through your spouse's phone, and imagine the condition of your heart at that time. And suddenly your spouse comes out of the bathroom. What happens to your heart? Dadang, 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 dadang. Your heartbeats goes up. Why are you glancing to your spouse's phone? It's a wrong act. And you get caught, you're in big trouble, that's it. And you're doing rightful thing. Heart doesn't give a signal. Because to do a rightful thing is very natural to us. When it is so natural, it just happens and there is no warning. Imagine each time you do the right thing and there is a warning or there is a congratulatory message. Oh, you did a lovely thing, you did a great thing. Of course, when we do extraordinarily a good thing out of the way in helping people, then heart gives you such joyous signal and it somehow you feel as if you're expanding. You're dancing as if you're on the clouds. But these are extraordinary acts of generosity. Likewise, when you have extraordinary levels of doing wrong things, just example I give you, either you are caught glancing to your spouse's phone or you have extramarital affairs and you get caught. Imagine the condition of your heart at that time. So, how is it that people say, oh, I don't feel my heart when when I'm doing wrong thing? No. It is, I think, you're lying to yourself that I don't know it, or you do not want to follow the dictums of the heart. It's as simple as that.